getting to the point where you're hurting yourself and you're living a life of self-destructiveness. That's pretty deep, isn't it?
So why do so many people self-destruct around the holidays?
I believe it, and you said it in the beginning, alone. It's the feeling alone, where alone becomes a reflection of abandonment. It's okay to be by yourself. It's okay to be with yourself. But for people who have been through traumas, a type of abandonment, emotional abandonment from families, physical abandonment, you become that state of abandonment. So alone, which is just a simple, I felt alone. Well,
right.
Someone who's been through a trauma will feel abandoned, will feel not wanted. And that's where the self-destruction comes in during the holidays. It'll even show up when you are around people you love, relatives, and you don't know how to handle the emotions. That's why there's a lot of violence during the holidays towards family members and loved ones, because we don't know how to handle the socialization. Our feelings get hurt. We overreact, underreact.
I think a lot of people, particularly around the holidays, have expectations.
Yes. And
you've set yourself up that this is going to play out this way.
Right.
And everybody's going to think I'm great. And
yes.
Then when things don't just play just like you had it set in your mind, then you start to sabotage yourself and you start to overreact and you start to offend people. And then you look like a fool, and you look like a fool, but you don't want to, apologize. You're trying to save face.
Yes. And, it goes back to how you feel about yourself, and are you self-disciplined enough? I would recommend that if you're preparing for the holidays, don't just prepare by making a list of what gifts you're going to give, what you're going to eat, but am I mature enough? Am I mature enough to handle a conversation of politics, religion? Am I mature enough to handle the taunting, the teasing, or should I start putting boundaries? Do I lack boundaries? And learn how to set boundaries with yourself and with others so that you're not going into it with your feelings on the outside, and allowing people to step over or cross over your boundaries and you get hurt. But that's difficult, because if I don't know what my boundaries are, if I don't know, if I don't accept the fact that a lot of the things that happen to me are caused because of me. I used to tell clients, and I still do when I talk to people, you get hurt because you allowed yourself to get hurt.
Absolutely.
You've got to have some responsibility in when your feelings are hurt, and you allow yourself to get hurt. One is because sometimes we know what we're getting into. We're hanging out with people who are themselves self-destructive, negative, and we don't feel like we can say anything. We feel that we have to fill in the blanks for them, people please them. We believe, we start believing these things, and we start believing that we have to, again, fill in the blanks, make them happy. We have to set our feelings aside so that they can feel better about themselves, and I can feel better for them because they're in a better mood. That's very self-destructive.
Yeah. What if we all just left ourselves
first
as we were? Yeah.
Yeah. Love ourselves first. Put ourselves first and learn to like ourselves. And I keep saying learn to like yourself, because when you like yourself, you're putting your feelings first. you're keeping them in check. You're not worrying them on the outside. You're not waiting to be validated by someone. You're not waiting for somebody to say, hey, you're very smart, or you're very pretty, or you're very good looking, or you're doing it yourself. Compliments are great. I think they're really great. I think that everyone deserves to be complimented. I think that you should compliment people. But I think it becomes self-destructive when those compliments are what make you go around and around and make you thrive. Successful people, or what we perceive as success, will thrive on that validation from other people. And when it's not there anymore, the self-destruction comes in.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're going to have highs and you're going to have lows. You've got to learn how to manage the highs, and you got to learn how to manage the lows. And when you have...
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah. We're all living in a world of paradigms and perceptions. And so we are in our own head, because your perception is your reality.
Right.
Whatever it is that you hold in your head, but that's not necessarily how you're perceived.
Right.
And so you have to realize how your actions might color somebody else's perceptions of you.
Yes.
And how are you acting when you're intimidated by somebody?
Right.
Maybe that shows. You think you're covering it, but maybe it shows.
Are you coming out of fear?
Yeah.
Is that the motivation? Is that what's the motivating you not to move, not to become who you should be? Is it
right?
And we did the
confidence, man. If we were all confident,
yes. And we talked about that on our episode called Fear.
Mm-hmm.
So you can catch that here with the Real Podcast of Dallas. So we're talking about self-destruction, being self-destructive, and we're some people, when they talk about this topic, I've heard it in the past, they go straight to the physical harm, the obvious. We're going to the less obvious, where it starts. It starts with you.
Yeah.
It starts with you. And I know that sometimes things that happen in our lives, not your fault. They're things that we could not control. If you suffered something as you were growing up, if you're going through something now, if you've been hurt, it's not your fault. That you deserve better. You deserve better. You deserve to have been taken care of. You deserve to have had, if you didn't have the parents there to watch over you, you deserve that.
Yeah, it's a monkey on your back. Your past can be. And trying to let go of the injustices that happened to you as a child.
Yeah, I've worked with people who have had those traumas, and they hold on to them, and they're reliving them, and it's a sad state to be in, because you're constantly in the stress of that trauma at the time. So your body's constantly on the fight or flight or freeze. So you're hyper responding to people, or not responding. And I'll kind of talk a little bit about, when I talk about overreacting, underreacting. Maybe it'll help some people out there that are in this self-destructive mode. Or maybe you're living with somebody, or maybe someone that you love is self-destructive. Maybe you're at a job where people are self-destructive. They have these emotions. So maybe help you understand that a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about overreacting, underreacting. So what I mean by that, Cindy, is you overreact to small things. I'll use parents for example. A parent who overreacts because their child stains the shirt, stains their pants, doesn't greet the family member the way they think they should be greeted, maybe doesn't clean the room the way they want them to clean the room, and they're screaming, shouting. So let's think about this child that's going through that. And then the parents, so that parent's an overreactor. And then there's a crisis. The kid hurts himself, and there's a physical hurt, or maybe there's an accident outside, or maybe there's a crisis, and the parent is slow to react.
Their project is due tomorrow, and it's 10 o'clock at night, and they'd still need poster board. That's the crisis. And everything goes to pot.
Well, okay, so yeah. And I was taking it a little bit.
Escalate.
Well, I was taking it a little bit to the extreme, where there's something volatile that happens, and the parent underreacts. Underreacts. What you talked about, yeah. So the poster board, and the parents overreacting, screaming, shouting, but then something big happens. Someone's hurt. Someone has hurt me. And the parent underreacts and begins to minimize it.
Right. Justify it. Yeah.
That causes confusion.
It does.
Some of us are overreactors, underreactors, or we don't react at all. And that causes confusion in our lives. Maybe you're the person who overreacts with things. You're jumpy. You're quick to respond. You're quick to fall in love. You're quick to... And then you're set up with a situation where you should react and you can't react. Maybe you see an accident and you just can't move. Maybe someone says something to you and you can't set a boundary. Maybe you get caught up in fear and you cannot you can't do something for yourself. And people may say, but I can't believe that you did not respond. I can't believe that you didn't do this. And there's that lack of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is that emotional immaturity, because I don't know how to handle those emotions. Those of you that are dealing with somebody like that, it might be that they're not dealing with their emotions. It might be that they're not comfortable with their emotions or comfortable with your emotions. So they become either volatile or not responsive. Many times I've had kids tell me that their parents ignore them when they're angry, or when they don't do something, they're ignored. When they fail in something, they're giving the cold shoulder. So there's no response. Many times parents think that that's a good way of disciplining their kids, because they feel like it's a hands off, I'm not going to hurt my child. So they don't say anything at all. And there should be a consequence. So
yeah,
when you're dealing with people who are overreactors, underreactors, and if that's what you're dealing with, that's a form of self-destruction that you may start feeling real insecure about yourself. You don't know, what you're going to face. That's usually how it starts. And if you're living with somebody who's an overreactor, underreactor, don't react to them. Don't react the way they want you to react. If they're happy, some people that are overreactors, when they're happy, they want everybody to be happy. When they're angry, they want everybody to be angry. You may You may be around people who are overbearing, and they if they're in a bad mood, you're going to be in a bad mood. And I know it's more difficult when you're in a relationship, when you're a child, especially. I remember being in school and I had teachers who were overreactors, underreactors, and it was very difficult because I never knew what I was going to step into. So I began modeling my emotions to model their emotions so that we would be on the same page. That's
interesting.
That's very self-destructive. What do you think of that, Cindy?
So you just modeled their emotions. You reflected back what you
Yes, and that's because
you were seeing.
And that's because I came out of trauma. So if you're listening to this and you're coming out of these traumas and you're wondering why is it that you do this, it's because it's called people pleasing.
Yeah, it's
people pleasing. And I didn't have a relationship with these teachers. I just learned that if I modeled their mood, it would help them out, and it really didn't. It really didn't help them out. I felt that it did, because I was modeling